Hi, I'm Dr. David Rowe from Rowe Chiropractic Offices, and today's very important topic is about posture. Now, in almost all of our videos, at some point or another, we talk about posture because it is one of the core foundational focuses of our office and of chiropractic in general. Simply stated, posture is the shape or the structure or the alignment of your body. Now, what is normal posture? Normal posture is, from a front view, we should be straight. So it's say like the center of our skull and the center of our cage, the center of our pelvis should drop straight between the center of our feet. That's the front view. That's normal upright posture. What's normal posture from the side view? We should have 3 slow sweeping curves in the neck, mid back and low back. That's the built-in shock absorber, and that's basically how our body, our frame is supposed to be aligned. Why is that so important? Our posture is there to keep our body upright, to keep us in the strongest shape we can so we can manage gravity, but most importantly, our posture, since our spine is protecting our all-important nerve system, our posture, if in normal alignment, gives our brain and our nerve system the best chance of communicating without any interference or any trouble. The basic way that our body works is the brain sends strength and energy down the spinal cord, which is kind of like the lifeline of our body, to every cell in our body to tell our body what to do, and then our body sends signals back up the nerves, up the spinal cord to our brain to tell our body, what's going on. And this communication link between brain and body and back again is how we stay healthy, thrive for a lifetime. But that can only happen if the nerve system is protected by this normal postural frame. All right, now, we know, commonly patients come in and I say, what's your biggest concern with your health? What are your goals? What are you trying to get accomplished? And a lot of patients say, I want to improve my posture. Without necessarily even knowing what the specifics are, they just get a sense that their posture has negatively changed over time. They see it in pictures of themselves. They feel it in how they're holding their body. And they just get a sense that their body's weakening, that their posture's denigrating, and it just doesn't feel good. Now, the way we can very specifically evaluate posture, since we know what normal is, we can evaluate an individual's posture through our discovery exam to see how has the posture misaligned from normal, and then later we'll come up with strategies to fix it. But the first thing is to actually find out what has changed. So when we do a discovery exam, we check specifically, is a person straight from the front view? Do they have the normal curves from the side view? If we see some type of a misalignment, then we can take an X-ray, front view and side view, to give us more details about what that specific spinal posture is. Now, we've gotten so detailed from research that we know exactly what the angles of the neck are supposed to be like, or the angles of the mid-back, or the angles of the low back. And we'd say, we know what ideal is. And you say, but is everybody the same? I mean, some people are tall, some people are broader shoulders, some people are, more stout in their frame. Is everybody the same? For the vast majority of us, our spinal angles or spinal curves are the same. In the bell curve of the human population, most of us are the same. And the research has even gotten so specific that we say, if somebody's not of a typical posture, we would know what their posture is supposed to be by taking certain measurements of their pelvis or of their skull or their chest. We can say, how is that person, how have they deviated from what the normal ideal is? So we say what their goal is to get back to normal. We know for each individual what that is. It's called pelvic morphology or cervical morphology. It's just a kind of a geeky way for us to say, we know what the general population's norm is, and we know what your individual norm is. And then we can evaluate and say, okay, if that's what your norm is, how have you misaligned from that? How have you subluxated? How have you deviated from that norm? And then we can figure out how to correct it. The nerve system, human nerve tissue, is the most highly evolved tissue that we know about in terms of biological tissue anywhere on the planet. But it's very sensitive tissue. It doesn't like to be compressed, it doesn't like to be twisted, and it doesn't like to be stretched. And if we compress, twist, or stretch it, it'll cause an irritation to the nerves, an interference, and it doesn't let the nerves signal. So we look at posture as a way to keep our body as strong as possible, but very importantly, so that it protects our nerve system, so allows us our best chance of being healthy for the brain to send a signal from brain down the spinal cord to the body and back again for a lifetime. Now, which brings up a really good point. We probably weren't told, like, people, if I pull 100 people off the street and I say, is posture important? Almost everybody says yes. But that's, say, well, why? Well, because it is important. But why is it really important? Because of the nerve system. Now, I think a big thing that we weren't told and that we just didn't get as a general population is that we're supposed to care for our spine and our posture from birth throughout a lifetime. Correct me if you've ever had this experience. You're leaving your medical examiner's annual checkup, and they say, "Oh, hang on for a second. I forgot to tell you, your brain and your nerve system, your posture, your frame, is the core foundation of your life and your health. So I want you to take care of your posture for you and your family from today throughout a lifetime. Okay, I'll see you next year." Most of us didn't hear that. But the truth is that we're supposed to care for our spine. But the reality is, when most people get their first spinal examination, they're typically not infants. The average right now, first day of the chiropractor's office, is 32 years old. Oh, that means that they've gone 31 years without checking the system that is controlling the rest of the body. Almost everybody says, if you ask them, have you ever had your eyes checked? Oh yeah, absolutely, of course. Have you had your hearing checked? Yes, since I've been a little kid. Have you had your heart checked and your lungs? Oh yeah, we get all that stuff checked. But typically, this posture in the nerve system is the last thing to be really specifically evaluated, and it really, in many ways, is the most important. Okay, so when we look at the posture, when we check the posture, there's several tools we can use. We can use just visualization, say the doctor's looking at a person standing there, checking them front view, side view. We can take these very specific photographic, computerized photographs called posture screens. And of course, we can use X-ray studies, always in a standing position, to give us the best evaluation of what the posture is. If the posture is no longer ideal, from different stresses and different traumas that have caused the spine to misalign, if the posture is no longer ideal, then we can use the specific corrective techniques like chiropractic adjustments to set the vertebra back into place, therapeutic exercises to reestablish normal posture, in-office traction to pull postural deviations, like if a person's cage dropped like this and their posture was misaligned and we wanted to use the traction to pull them back into position. Home traction, like specific dental rolls. All of these strategies can be used to take a postural misalignment and bring it back into normal alignment over time, almost like orthodontics, to correct it so that the body can begin to heal again. Posture is super important because of its relationship to the nerve system, but we've got to find out individually how our posture has possibly misaligned. Now, this will sound like a crazy number, but the mathematicians tell us that for the vast majority of us, we all share the same normal. But there's 128 million combinations of how the human spine could misalign. 128 million ways that the human spine could misalign, subluxate out of normal alignment. Oh boy, that's a big number. So we have to do a very specific evaluation to find out what pattern any one individual's at. We use this discovery exam to find out what the problem is, and then we use the corrective strategies to correct it. And if we can keep our posture in good alignment for a lifetime, that's our best chance of being the healthiest you ever for a lifetime.